What's going on, guys? I am back. Another day, another video. I'm inspired today. I want to motivate you to do whatever you're capable of doing. If you do not have the skill sets to do said thing, then I guess you can't do it. However, if you do have the skill sets, then reach for the stars. There is nothing beyond your grasp. Listen, at the end of the day, only you can prevent forest fires. Know your ceiling. So yeah, I hope that you're motivated. So I've been a developer for about 10 years now, which really isn't that long. Actually, scratch that. That's a fairly decent amount of time, but I digress. You know, when you get your first gig at a corporate company, you obviously don't understand how much you don't know. Naturally, you're ignorant to what you're going to be in for. I mean, you've got your degree, certification, or whatever. You may have some decent skills, so to speak, but you probably don't really know how that's going to tie in together when it comes to delivering a product to your boss. And with that uncertainty, inevitably comes brain freezes, mistakes, idiotic moments, just flat out dumb ideas, and possibly panic attacks. Personally speaking, there were tons of mistakes I made in my early stages of development, some of which probably aren't YouTube appropriate. And what makes it so bad, a lot of times they were just silly, avoidable things. I figured, why not just share some of my mistakes and just general things to avoid? You know, because I don't want you up-and-comers to get fired. Because making money, that's actually a good thing. I know, contrary to popular belief, making money can be seen, well, I don't know where it's seen as a negative, but it's just a good thing. I'll just say that, it's a good thing. Okay, so the first don't of the don't list. And I know that sounds terrible. I know grammatically that cannot possibly be correct, but it just feels right at this point. Do not ask for help with your web app if you have not at least debugged it one time. I know I'm holding up two fingers, but I really do just mean one. It just worked out like that. Do not ask for help. You need to debug it at least one time. Seriously. I used to be that guy that would go over to the senior dev and pester him for something I could probably solve if I just gave it a little bit more time. Maybe it was the fear of screwing up or not wanting to take too much time because I want to show that I'm fast as a developer. But the best way to grow as a developer is to be self-sufficient, resourceful, and strong in figuring things out yourself. Realistically, it's the process that'll define how successful you'll be as a coder. I can attest that companies want developers who are self-sufficient and can efficiently create solutions to their issues. And honestly, there's no way to attain that kind of skill if you're constantly reaching out to another developer, pestering them, which really equates to them solving your problem for you, which means you're not learning anything anyway. Compounded by the idea that there are so many available resources online that if you do a little bit of research, you're bound to find your answer. What's funny,
and if you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back. I want to be on you.
Well, not really funny, and joke funny, but funny for phrasing purposes. I can honestly say that I learned more when I had no one to turn to. So, number two, do not, I repeat, do not check in broken code. If your code looks like this, with yellow and/or red squiggly lines, it's not ready. Point is, broken code should stay on your machine. You should be manually testing your code consistently, but if you need more validation, then you should run them against your unit test. This is presuming that you do know how to write unit test. Personally, I think it always helps to run your unit test prior to you checking in your code. Now, I know we're all good programmers, we're all perfect programmers, and we always create bug-free code. You know, I take that back. You're not. I am. I'm a really good developer. You're not perfect. I am. So I should clear that up. It's just much nicer when you pull the latest code set. You're not hit with 100 compile time errors because your buddy thought he was too good to run his code against the unit test. Number three, do not check in commented code. Honestly, I can elaborate on this a lot, but it's just flat out annoying. Guys! Yeah, don't do that. Number four, do not write overly complicated code. Now this one may seem obvious, but you'd be surprised at how often it happens. And I'd imagine that this can occur because sometimes as programmers, we're impressed by what we know. And truthfully, we really don't know that much more than anybody else, but we think we do. Hence, we're impressed by what we think we're better at, but we're not. But the point is, because we're impressed by it, we like to showcase it every once in a while.
What you talking about, Willis?
But my thing is, it's really not that useful. Listen, you don't get any cool points for writing an unnecessarily long, complicated algorithm. I mean, this isn't a competition. unless you're in a competition. Nonetheless, I think it's always good to keep things as simple as possible for a few reasons. One, others may eventually look at your code and they may eventually have to modify it. And there's nothing worse than looking at someone else's code and it's overly complicated, you have to update it, and then when you're updating it, it just ends up making more sense to rewrite it completely. And secondly, keeping things simple is just much more efficient. My advice would be to introduce complexity when the problem that you're trying to solve actually calls for it. When you're writing code, the goal shouldn't be to impress. I mean, this isn't like a talent show, right? We're not like on runway modeling like the latest fashion. Like most of the time, like our fashion is pretty terrible when we're sitting at our desk. Number 5, never stop improving your skill. You should always be in the gym working on your game. That's more of a sports analogy, but I think that it still fits. IT is constantly changing and evolving. I mean, sometimes it seems like a new framework is being introduced twice a year. As a developer, you always want to stay up to date with what's current and what's most popular, but that's presuming that you want to make a living. I, for one, I prefer to make a living, but that's just me. That's my preference. I prefer to be able to make money. There are tons of opportunities out there, but they require skill sets based on the new languages being introduced, the new frameworks being integrated, etc. You don't want to be that expert knockout developer when no one's using knockout anymore. I was kind of that guy, except that I wasn't an expert, so that's kind of a double negative. Being that guy sucks because at that point, it'll be extremely difficult to find a job. And then you may have to move back into your parents' house, or you may have to move back with your cousin who constantly forgets that he has a roommate now, and it just gets bad. It's just bad altogether. Take my word for it. So I've listed these things so that you guys won't do them. So don't do them. Listen, it's been real. Please like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on next time.